welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about Tomorrow by Together's Sugar Rush Ride, the Japanese version, focusing on a little breakdown of the video to see how it is connected to the story so far. Now, as it was confirmed in the press release, the Japanese Sugar Rush Ride continues the story of youth already portrayed in videos like 0 by 1 Love Song, Loser Lover, all the way through the Japanese Good Boy Gone Bad. As we reunite with our favorite lovers, the story continues right where we left off back in the previous Japanese comeback. Back then, the boys were on the run after Yeonjun robbed an ATM and his girl ratted him out to the police. While they initially enjoyed their newly found freedom, soon enough they realized that being outlaws is not as sustainable as it seemed at first. After trying their best to escape responsibility and rebel against the society that branded them as losers, reality eventually caught up with them, forcing them to face the consequences of their actions. Betrayed by their loved one and trying to cope with their first heartbreak, the Japanese Good Boy Gone Bad ended with the police closing in on them as they tried to escape one last time. Like in the Korean version, the betrayal of their lover killed the good boy and allowed the bad boy to be born as a result. But now there's no going back, so with nothing left to lose, the boys embrace their downfall and continue down this destructive path. Now in Sugar Rush Ride, the Japanese version, the story continues right from this point, that is with them on the run and temporarily separated as they try to escape the law. If in the last video Hyunin Kai and Subin seemed on the verge of getting arrested, in Sugar Rush Ride we discovered that both of them managed to elude the police and run away. Hyunin Kai found shelter under a bridge, Subin took a train, and later on we see that this train is not only called Promise, but it also leads him to Tucson Park. Both of these details are a nod to Tomorrow by Together's main storyline, the Star Seekers. Tucson Park, for instance, is the real-life getaway to Magic Island, so this station appeared in Magic Island, Frost, as well as the Doom's Night. The train called Promise, on the other hand, is not only a reference to the promise they made with the star way back when, but also to the Korean version of the song, where the boys crash on the island after flying on the Promise train. On top of that, the Promise might also be a spoiler for the next installments of the named chapter, and if you want to know more about that, I have a whole video on what we can expect moving forward. Following the events of the Japanese Good Boy Gone Bad, we also reunite with Taeyeon, Bongyu and Yeonjun, all of which are in the same situation we left them back in the previous comeback. Back in Good Boy Gone Bad, Taeyeon was hiding in the bathroom, so now we see him taking a bath trying to cope with his reality falling apart. Bongyu is fighting with his nemesis, the bike, from which he already fell back in Drama, Loser Lover and Good Boy Gone Bad. Fighting for his life, this time Bongyu falls again not once but twice before giving up completely, and in the story this might actually symbolize his downfall, but also a need for balance in his life. Yeonjun, on the other hand, is running away by car. Back in Good Boy Gone Bad, he tried to burn the money as the police was closing in on them, but in Sugar Rush Ride we discovered that he was able to save some and hide them in the car. As he runs away, he suddenly gets distracted by the appearance of a butterfly, and this sight causes him to crash the car and have an accident. Now the butterfly is quite an important symbol here, because according to the press release, that is the creature leading the members to the Forest of Temptation. In their story, the butterflies are very much connected to the world of their imagination and the youthful wonder that always lures them away from the reality of adulthood. They showed up in Nap of a Star, Frost, We Lost the Summer, and in the Temptation teaser, the butterfly anticipated the arrival of the devil by the window, like Tinkerbell arrived before Peter Pan. In the Korean version of the song, the butterflies appeared yet again mostly associated to Bongyu, and in his scenes we got to see the double nature of these magical creatures. Even if at first they enchanted him and put him in a daze, his daydream became a nightmare the moment the butterflies started chasing him in the forest. The beautiful animals that gave him the sugar rush soon became the source of a teenager's impossible to bear, and in the new video we see that this duality is fooling them yet again. As they run away from their troubles, each member is lured back into the world of their imagination where they can escape adulthood and the problems associated to it. Yeonjun arrives in the Forest of Temptation after the crash. Bongyu is lured in after taking revenge on his bike and crashing it through a shop window. Taeyeon gains access to the forest while drowning his sorrows underwater. Subin follows the butterfly from the train straight into the forest, while Hyunin Kai seems to straight up summon the butterfly with a subtle nod to his summoning powers in the Star Seekers. Now, one interesting detail about the video is that, like we saw time and time again with Magic Island, this fantasy world is actually a place that brings them back together, which is arguably what makes it so tempting to begin with. Instead of being lonely, scared losers in reality, the forest is a magical place where they can be together without worrying about growing old, paying the bills, or going to jail. They can be the lovers instead of the losers, and this is why it's so difficult to resist the temptation of constantly going back. Even if in their reality they are alone, the boys are all connected and always strive to reunite. As Bangyu breaks the window, for instance, his shadow can be seen close to Taeyeon. In turn, when Taeyeon is in the bath, the water overflows and becomes the rain falling on Yunin Kai. Kai looks out in the darkness like Subin in the train, and when Subin is running after the butterfly, outside of the window we can see Yeonjun flying midair after the crash. The cool editing of the video shows that even when they're separated, they're always united by destiny, so when the butterfly shows up, they welcome that temptation because it leads them to a place where they can be happiest together. Now, even if this time the line between fantasy and reality is blurrier than ever, I think that a good way to understand the difference is actually to look at Yeonjun. When he crashes the car, we see that the glass cuts him on the hand, which will be important later on, but also on the nose. This is an injury that disappears the moment he gets into the forest, and this healing property is actually something that we already saw back in Runaway. Back then, Yeonjun was burnt by the notebook, but when he arrived on Magic Island, this injury disappeared because A. It's a magical place, B. It kinda represents the fantasy world of their imagination, and C. It's their safe space, so at least symbolically it's capable to heal their wounds. This is the location that's supposed to let them escape from reality's hardships, so as long as they're lost in temptation, the cuts disappear because those are real problems for the real world. Now, like we saw back in the Korean version, when the boys find each other on the island, their journey is initially very pleasant. The forest of temptation is almost alive as they come through. The trees are breathing, the water acts funny, the ground gets wavy, so it's a very trippy experience all around. Like Tinkerbell in Peter Pan, the butterfly sprinkles them with fairy dust and makes them fly as they experience the sugar rush, and even if we don't see them literally taking off, their flight is very much implied by the feathers that they find. If you look closely, moreover, the boys also have feathers in their socks, and this is a straight parallel to Devil by the Window. Back in that song, the boys had money in their socks to symbolize their deal with the devil, but now they have feathers to show what they gained from that transaction. Like it happened in the Korean video, however, the boys soon realized that this pact was a mistake, because even if temptation is sweet, it's not sweet enough for them to stay. Leaving the feather behind, the boys run back to the car to break free from temptation. As they run away yet again, the video very much parallels their escaping loser lover, but this time the goal is quite the opposite. Back in that song, they jumped from the highway and fell in the attempt of flying. They were so desperate to escape reality that they were ready to take the risk in order to reach the heaven of their youth, but the result was a tragic downfall in the chaos instead of themselves. Now instead they are flying, they are in that heaven that they always wanted, but they also recognize that it's time to get back because that heaven is not real. As they fly through the highway, we see that Yeonjun raises the volume up to 17, and this is yet another reference to the Star Seekers. In room 17, the boys discovered the ugly truth hidden behind the beautiful lies that they've been told, so it's very fitting that it stops at 17, because in their story 17 unveils the truth. When Yunin Kai notices the fish hanging from the mirror, the fish comes alive as he sets it free. Now this is a very important scene, I think, because the flying fish has been a recurring symbol that showed up time and time again. We first saw it in the Runaway VCR, then it played a big part in 0x1 Love Song, it showed up once again in Act Lovesick, and last but not least it appeared in the Japanese Good Boy Gone Bad. In all of these cases, the fish came through when they ran away to Magic Island and escaped in the world of their imagination, but now Yunin Kai is letting it go, meaning that now they're finally ready to leave that part of their life behind. As you can imagine, this is something that the devil doesn't want, so as soon as Kai frees the fish, the butterfly attacks them stronger than ever. It gives them tinnitus, makes them fall into a daydream, tries to blind them with the promise to fly, and even if the others fall asleep, but this time Yeonjun resists the temptation. Instead of jumping off the highway like they did in Loser Lover, this time Yeonjun stops the car. He refuses to fly, he refuses the temptation, and and this finally brings them back to reality. In comparison to the previous scene, now Yeonjun is injured, which means that they skip temptation and return to the real world. As the others wake up and they exit the car, the butterfly flies away as the boys enjoy a beautiful landscape. This goes to show that they don't need to get lost in their imagination to find their paradise. They can find it in reality, and as long as they're together, everything will be fine. As they enjoy the view, Taeyeon notices the cut on Yeonjun's hand. In the real world, the injuries don't heal like magic. There will be times you'll get hurt, at times you'll suffer, but that's just a part of the journey of being alive. Like Kai, Subin and Bongyu already did in Up of a Star, Drama and Runaway, Taeyeon takes care of Yeonjun's wound and gives him a band-aid. Now that is true healing. The moral of the story is that there's no point in trying to run away in your fantasy to escape reality. Even if sometimes reality is painful, difficult and disappointing, it can also be beautiful, especially if the journey is shared with people you love and they love you back. The real magic is the friendship that they share, so by the end we see the feather flying away as they enjoy their heaven on earth. To see how the story will continue, we'll have to wait and see, but in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.